So I actually want to commandeer this question because I went on medical leave of absence last year. And the reason why I want to commandeer this question is because I think it's incredibly necessary for us to learn this at some point in our careers. And we don't really heed the call until it's kind of debilitating, but essentially, I was experiencing burnout. And I think a lot of us were experiencing burnout and and especially underappreciation. And that extends beyond like the advertising industry. And you'll see this in every sector where that's whether it's like the tech sector or MarTech, it's just everywhere. Um, and so even though I was doing the work, I was, creating media plans and working with my teams and, negotiating with vendors, I felt like in some way I couldn't really show up for my team or even myself. And so it kind of affected my self-concept. Um, and then so I took that leave of absence, and because it started to affect me beyond the emotional, beyond the mental, it started to impact me physically. Um, and it got really bad, which is why I took medical leave. And thankfully, now I'm in a much better place now in 2024. I'm so glad 2023 is over. I'm focused a lot more on forward momentum. And then, everything that happened in 2023, I hope just stays in 2023. And that was actually my biggest challenge was that, there were things going on where I actually could not fulfill my role. And I was thankful to be able to take 2 months to just focus on myself, and then shortly return thereafter.
I think one of the biggest challenges that I'm seeing is how we keep our solutions strategically connected across the long tail of activation. There's so much nuance in activation these days with all of the digital platforms, all of the programmatic deliveries, all of the ways that people engage in media that we are designing and putting out there in the marketplace. How do you keep that strategic arc strong all the way through those? So I think that's the biggest challenge that I faced.
Absolutely. Let's say coming from a different industry, I used to work in travel. I had the chance to work in the luxury industry for a while, but so far in the CPG, I would say FMCG world, we need to take into account the macroeconomic perspective. We lived an unprecedented inflation over the last couple of years, which put a major pressure on consumer and impact as a consequence the demand. When it comes to media, in this challenging context, I would say that we're still facing planning and replanning on a quarterly basis, I would say, rather than yearly basis. So we face, unfortunately, some marketing budget cuts. And we spend a lot of time internally to discuss about positioning media as a source for growth for both the brand and the business, rather than just considering it a cost in the P&L, which I know it sounds like a sentence, but is actually a mission rather than just an internal discussion. We rely on data. I think that we are leaving the cookieless context and being in an industry where first-party data are a tremendous advantage. We also rely on MarTech, but also on MMM studies. Then can be a strategic driver for discussion when it comes to long-term strategic thinking, but also short-term execution and understanding the ROI of every single dollar, penny, euro we are spending and expecting.